Oh, hey, hottie.
Ah, your eyes finally open. Mother shall be pleased.
Yes. Yes, her last words were literally, yes.
Back in the wilds, of course. I am Morrigan, lest you have forgotten, and I have just bandaged your wounds. You are welcome, by the way.
I
How
love
does your
her.
memory fare? Do you remember Mother's rescue? The man who was to respond to your signal quit the field. The
You are
Darkspawn
welcome,
won your
by the
battle.
way.
Those he abandoned were massacred. Your friend, he is not taking it well.
I need to
As
get
you
up
like.
here.
Mother is outside with your friend. She wished to see you when you awoke.
I have some questions.
I do not mind. Take your time.
Are we safe here?
We are safe for the moment. Mother's magic keeps the Darkspawn away. Once you leave, 'tis uncertain what will happen. The Horde has moved on, so you might avoid it.
Why did your mother save us?
I wonder at that myself. But she tells me nothing. Perhaps you were the only ones she could reach. I would have rescued
No.
your king. A king would be worth a much higher ransom than you.
Thanks so what? Four quarters important to you out here.
Who says I would ransom for coin? Gold has its uses, I suppose, but power buys far more.
How did she manage to rescue us?
She turned into a giant bird and plucked the two of you from atop the tower, one in each talon. If you do not
Turned
believe that
into
tale,
a
then I suggest you
giant
ask
bird.
Mother yourself. She may even tell you.
Ah, yes. Gotta love it when you turn into a giant bird.
Only stragglers that are long gone. You would not want to see what is happening in that valley now.
What? What's up?
Are you sure you want me to describe it? I had a good view of the battlefield. 'Tis a grisly scene. There are bodies everywhere, and Darkspawn swarm them, feeding, I think. They also look for survivors and drag them back down beneath the ground. I cannot say why.
What the fuck? Good view if you didn't. Right?
If you are willing to run into the midst of the Horde, perhaps.
Why did Tanlo gain better than the
I
king?
do not know who this Logain even is. Perhaps ask Mother of it. I agree. 'Tis time you speak with Mother, then be
At
on your
least she
way.
bandaged his wounds. Right? Oh yeah, you don't get that till like later in the game, so.
See, here is your fellow Grey Warden. You worry too much, young man.
You're alive. I thought you were dead for sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't be so relieved about that. You really don't want me to be alive, trust me. It took sort of a Darkspawn to kill me.
Duncan's dead. The Grey Wardens. Even the king. They're all dead. Oh, this doesn't seem real. If it weren't for Morrigan's mother, we'd be dead on top of that tower.
Do not talk about me as if I am not present, lad.
I didn't mean... But what do we call you? You've never told us your name?
Names are pretty, but useless. The chastened folk call me Flemeth. I suppose it will do.
The Flemeth? From the legends? Daveth was right. You're the Witch of the Wilds, aren't you?
And what does that mean? I know a bit of magic, and it has served you both well, has it not?
Hey, you can't say that. I'm also a witch for your information. I am playing as a mage. Who cares what she is? We need to do something now.
We need to bring Logain to judgment. Why would he do this?
Now that is a good question. Men's hearts hold shadows darker than any tainted creature. Perhaps he believes the Blight is an army he can outmaneuver. Perhaps he does not see that the evil
And if you
behind
die,
it
there's
is the
no
true
free.
threat.
The Archdemon.
You know, you're not wrong there. We need to find what is our statement.
It is
I
said
know what it
that
is
long
though,
ago,
but
the Maker
my
sent
character
the
doesn't know.
old gods of the ancient Tevinter Imperium to slumber in prisons deep beneath the surface. An archdemon is an old god awakened and tainted by darkspawn. Believe that or not, history says it's a fearsome and immortal thing, and only fools ignore history.
Then we need to find the Archie.
By ourselves? No Grey Warden has ever defeated a blight without the army of a half-dozen nations at his back. Not to mention, I don't know how.
How
Oh,
to
yeah,
kill
you
the
do.
archdemon, or how to raise an army. It seems to me those
I
are
see, he
two
doesn't
different
know, but-
questions. Have the Wardens no allies these days?
I don't know. Duncan said that the Grey Wardens of Orlais had been called, and Arl Eamon would never stand for this, surely.
Real quick.
I suppose. Arl Eamon wasn't at Ostagar. He still has all his men. And he was Kaelin's uncle.
Oh,
I
that's
know
gonna be
him.
funny.
He's a good man, respected in the Landsmeet. Of course, we could go to Redcliffe and appeal to him for help.
Dude, when we go to Redcliffe, it's gonna be hilarious. Because, someone I betrayed is actually gonna be there. And if he doesn't know what the...
You have more at your disposal than merely old friends.
Of course! The treaties! Grey Wardens can demand aid from dwarves, elves, mages, and other places. They're obligated to help us during a blight.
I may be old, but dwarves, elves, mages, this Arl Eamon, and who knows what else. This sounds like an army to me.
So can we do this? Go to Redcliffe and these other places and
army
build
to
an
me. The treaties, basically, if you go to them about the treaties, they have to help you because the boy is a threat. That would be as easy as that.
And when is it ever?
It's always been the Grey Warden's duty to stand against the blight. And right now, we're the Grey Wardens.
That's
So you're
sad.
set then, ready to be Grey Wardens.
When you're the only Grey Wardens. Yikes. We're going, old woman. Don't push us.
Such a tone to take with your rescuer. What short memories. Now, before you go, there is yet one more thing I can offer you.
The stew is bubbling, Mother dear. Shall we have 2 guests for the eve? Or none?
The Grey Wardens are leaving shortly, girl. And you will be joining them.
Such a shame.
What?
You heard me, girl. The last time I looked, you had ears.
Makes you think we want
Her
her?
magic will be useful. Even better, she knows the wilds and how to get past the horde.
Have I no sense?
You have been itching to get out of the wilds for years. Here is your chance. As for you, Wardens, consider this repayment for your lives.
What are you supposed to say?
Oh, she is. You have spells of your own, but my Morrigan's as cunning as a root lizard.
Not to look a gift horse in the mouth, but won't this add to our problems? Out of the wilds, she's an apostate.
If you do not wish help from us illegal mages, young man, perhaps I should have left you on that tower.
Point taken.
Mother, this is not how I wanted this. I'm not even ready.
You must be ready. Alone, these two must unite Ferelden against the Darkspawn. They need you, Morrigan. Without you, they will surely fail, and all will perish under the Blight. Even I.
Understand.
And you, Wardens, do you understand? I give you that which I value above all in this world. I do this because you must succeed.
Yeah. I don't need her help.
Let her guide you out of the wilds. If you truly do not desire her help after that, simply tell her so.
She could just as easily lead us into Darkspawn, you know?
I could just as easily have left you to them. Morrigan will not fail you.
Allow me to get my things, if you please. I am at your disposal, Grey Wardens. I suggest a village north of the wilds as our
Go
first
over that
destination.
tower in the
It's
shit.
not far, and you will find
Yeah.
much you need there. Or, if you prefer, I shall simply be your silent guide. The choice is yours. Farewell, Mother. Do not forget the stew on the fire. I would hate to return to a
love
burned
silent
down
guide.
hut.
Oh, 'tis far more likely you will return to see this entire area, along with my hut, swallowed up by the blight.
All I meant was...
Yes, I know. Do try to have fun, dear.
Oh yeah, you don't get the thing because I killed the dog.
And I expect each of you to supply these men. We must rebuild what was lost at Ostagar, and quickly.
Killed a dog.
There
yeah.
are those who would take advantage of our weakened state if we let them. We must defeat this Darkspawn incursion, but we must do so sensibly and without hesitation.
Your lordship, if I might speak.
Yeah, I killed a
You
dog
have declared
yesterday.
yourself Queen Honora's regent and claim we must unite under your banner for our own good.
And a man who really
But what of the
was
army
in
lost at
a
Ostagar?
cage.
Your withdrawal was most fortuitous.
Everything I have done has been to secure Ferelden's independence. I have not shirked my duty to the throne, and neither will any of you.
The Banon will not bow to you simply because you demand it.
Understand this. I will brook no threat to this
How did it
nation
go
from
dead?
you
Did like steam
or
turn off
anyone.
or like disconnect?
Van Tegan, please!
Your Majesty, your father risks civil war. If Eamon were here...
Van Tegan, my father is doing what is best.
Did he also do what was best
No,
for your husband,
he isn't.
Your Majesty?
He sucks. Fuck him. I spent money on it. Actually, no, I didn't. I was gifted the game because I couldn't afford
Wake up,
it
gentlemen. More
at the
travelers
time.
to attend to. Led by an elf of all things.
at the moment.
They
That
don't look
that's
much like the
racist.
moment, you know, maybe we should just let
That's
them
racist.
Nonsense.
That.
Greetings, travelers.
Highwaymen, preying on those fleeing the Darkspawn, I suppose.
They are fools to get in our way. I say...
How dare
teach
I
them
not be a
lesson.
human?
Now, is that any way to greet someone?
I look so
Simple
short.
10 silvers and you're free to move on.
Your dog would.
Indeed, for the upkeep of the Imperial Highway.
Uh
Bit of a mess,
huh.
isn't it? Not much gets past you, I see.
It's
Why
not
is
really
he
a toll.
looking at me like
We're
that?
just
He's like
robbing you, see?
Do shut up. Even a general would have
helping
understood
you
that.
see.
Well, I can't say I'm pleased to hear that. We have rules, you know.
Right. We get to ransack your corpse then. Those are the rules. A mage? Ah, I don't want to be a toad.
Nobody's turning you into a toad, you sniveling bastard.
What am I
But
turning?
we'll, let the toll go. Just this once.
That's some spell.
Don't turn me into a toad!
All right, we surrender. We're just trying to get by before the Darkspawn get us all.
God. You picked the wrong target.
Yes, of course. We should have been more careful. I'm sorry.
Now you die.
I'm not going down without a fight.
Yeah, you died. This dude really, right after the cutscene, you just immediately died.
Some dignity, fool.
Okay. I love this game.
What do you wish of me?
I'd like to ask you something.
If you must. Well, that depends, does it not? What does she seem to be?
And then he old bat.
Sometimes I do wonder the very same thing. Tell me, how much do you know of the tale? The one that the chastened still tell of my mother, to frighten them into obedience. 'Tis no child's tale, I assure you. I can relay what Flemeth once told me herself, and you can decide whether or not 'tis the truth, if you desire. As the tale is sung by the bards, there was a time when Flemeth was young and beautiful, a fair lass in a land of barbarian men, the desire of any who saw her.
Not true then.
No, quite true, but this part only. The tales say that Flemeth fell in love with Osen the bard, and fled the castle of her husband, the dread Lord Conabar, and that he swore vengeance for her infidelity. In truth, my mother claims that 'twas Osen who was her husband, and Conabar the jealous lord.
I don't know what it calls, so I'm just gonna call you that.
Lord
How are you?
Conabar approached young Osen and offered him wealth
If you want me
and
to call you
power
something else, let me
in
know.
exchange for his lovely wife, and Osen agreed.
Flamas must have been angry.
The life of a bard is a poor one, and love fades in the wake of hunger.
Yeah, I know. I took a long break and I feel better now. So self-care is very important.
But he was a foul man who bargained with coin he did not possess. Osen was led off to a field and slain, left for dead. Flemeth spoke to the spirits and learned of the deed, and swore revenge. Spirits first, and 'twas they who slew Conabar. Flemeth did not turn to the demon until much later. Lord Conabar's allies chased Flemeth, you see, chased her to the wilds, and there she hid. There she found the demon, and he made her strong.
It wouldn't be a stream of mine if Paul didn't show up.
Hero Cormac, he who defeated Flemeth and her great army when she invaded the lowlands centuries later.
You know, she just wants all the attention.
Lies. The truth of the matter is that there was never an invasion. As Flemeth tells it, the Chastened never raised an army under her banner, and she never fought with any warrior named Cormac. Cormac led a brutal civil war against his own people, and later claimed it was to vanquish evil that had taken root amongst the lords. Thus, he was hailed a hero. Flemeth was only attached to the legend much later. Perhaps 'twas due to the great war with the Chastened that eventually came, but Mother claims not to know how it began.
That sounds like hogwash.
If that is what you think, so be it. I have thought so on occasion myself, but there it is. Dare I ask of your own mother? Few are abominations of legend, 'tis true, but I find myself curious nevertheless.
What are these clothing? I don't know.
I see. I find myself a little envious, to tell the truth. But it matters not. Let us move on.
There's some bruise 18.
What do you need?
Now I'm being covered in blood.
Ask away. Same way you did. You drink some blood, you choke on it, and pass out. You haven't forgotten already, have you?
Don't be an idiot.
Ah, my secret is out. Now at last I can stop pretending. Pardon the drooling. Well, thankfully someone thinks so. Let's see, I was in the Chantry before. I trained for many years to become a Templar, in fact. That's where I learned most of my skills. That's what I was trained for, though I never got to hunt any actual mages. I ended up joining the Grey Wardens before I took the sacramental vows. It's really for the best. I'm not exactly the Chantry type, if you haven't noticed. I don't think I would have made a very good Templar. The Grand Cleric didn't want to let me go. Duncan was forced to conscript me, actually, and was she ever furious when he did. I thought she was going to have us both arrested. I was lucky. I wondered that myself. It's not as if she valued me highly. I think she just didn't want to give anything to the Grey Wardens, is all. The Chantry didn't lose much. And I think I can do more fighting the Blight anyhow, rather than sitting in a temple somewhere. I'll always be thankful to Duncan for recruiting me. If it hadn't been for him, you know, I wouldn't have.
Don't start crying.
Yes, you're right. I should be angry for what happened to him, not sad. I shouldn't forget what Logain did. Come on, let's go. I think I'm done talking.
Time to harden, Alistair, make him an asshole. Yay.
What do you need?
I'm just gonna talk to him.
You don't have to do that. I know you didn't know him as long as I did.
Good, I don't want you falling apart again.
Don't worry. So long as we're looking at taking down that bastard Logain, I won't be losing any sleep at night. And
I'm
thanks
gonna
for the
make
warm
him
concern.
kill him.
For a moment there, I thought you might actually have cared.
What does Templar do?
Essentially, they're trained to fight. The Chantry would tell you that the Templars exist simply to defend. But don't let them fool you. They're an army. The other main purpose for a Templar is...
You say that like
mages.
Dead by Daylight devs
That
aren't
end,
shit.
We train in talents that drain
'Cause they
mana
are.
and disrupt spells. You could call it that, sure. The Chantry doesn't look on it the same way, however, since really our talents only work on mages. Against a regular person, I'm just a guy in a metal suit. You'd think that, but it's not so. The Chantry keeps a close rein on its Templars. We are given lyrium to help develop our magical talents, you see. Which means we become addicted.
You know, that's
And
true.
since the Chantry controls the lyrium trade with the dwarves, well, I'm sure you can put two and two together.
That's like an excellent method of control.
You think so, huh? You don't need lyrium in order to learn the Templar talents. Lyrium just makes Templar's talents more effective.
Damn,
Or
this
so I was
man is
told.
getting mad
Maybe it doesn't even
because
do that.
I
The Chantry usually
said
doesn't let their
something.
Templars get away
How dare I?
either, so they can spread their secrets. I'm a bit of an exception. Lucky me. I suppose I could. But I really would rather not. When the Grand Cleric let Duncan recruit me, she made me swear never to reveal Templar secrets outside of the Chantry. I'd rather not go back on my word.
What did
Order
it do?
away. Suddenly you're my commanding officer? You don't need my Templar secrets to defeat the Darkspawn. Ask me later, perhaps. Maybe I'll change my mind. This is not something small you're asking, after all.
Oh, now he's getting aggressive.
That's a good question. There's plenty in Orlais, but who knows where they might be found. And the nearest Orlesian city is weeks away. If we go
What do you
north,
want now,
across the
huh?
sea, there's bound to be some in the free marches.
Right? Like, it's
Again,
not like I
however,
was being a
just don't know where.
jerk or
I don't know
anything to
anything about
him.
Grey Wardens in other lands. Here in Ferelden, there's our compound in Denerim at the palace, but that's it. Logain will have control over that and be watching it, no doubt. Beyond that, the only place I know of is Weishaupt Fortress. That's the headquarters of all Grey Wardens in the Anderfells, 1,000 miles from here. But I've no idea how to even contact them. So unless we try to get back to the compound in Denerim, I suppose the answer is no. There's nowhere for us to go. I imagine that eventually the Grey Wardens outside of Ferelden will wonder what's happened. Why there's no contact from Duncan or someone. They'll send someone eventually. Though who knows what Logain's people in Denerim will tell them. Maybe they won't send anyone. We could try to contact them. But that would mean leaving Ferelden, and even if we did, they couldn't come back with us in time to stop the Blight. So that means whatever happens, it's up to us.
We will start rebuilding order.
I mean, eventually we would have to use the joining to make more Grey Wardens, right? But I don't know how to do the joining, or what's involved. I know it involves lyrium and some other magic, and that it's really difficult to prepare, but that's it. Unless we can find out more about the joining, I guess we better get used to the
Yeah, you
idea
kind
that
of
there might
need,
only be two of us for now.
Archdemon
Until
blood,
more
and
comes
you
elsewhere.
don't exactly have that, my guy.
Just left? You mean just left Ferelden? I don't know. If there's an archdemon, however, we're supposed to be the only ones who can defeat it. And that means the blight would grow unchecked. Eventually, other Grey Wardens in Orlais and other lands would hear about it, and they would come to fight it, but they wouldn't come in time to save Ferelden. There's no way. I'm not going anywhere.
Raised you.
Oh, did I say that? I meant the
Hey,
dogs
gamer, how
raised
are
me.
you?
Giant slobbering dogs
We're
from
gonna
the
stream.
Anderfells. A whole pack of them, in fact.
Must have been tough for them.
Well, they were flying dogs, you see. Surprisingly strict parents, too, and devout Andrastians to boot.
Uh-huh.
Or did I dream all of that? Funny the dreams you'll have when you
I
sleep on the
heard
cold,
you
hard
say.
ground, isn't it?
I'm doing good, thank
have
you for
strange
asking.
dreams. I think I completely lost my chain of thought. Oh, there it is. Let's see, how do I explain this? I'm a bastard. And before you make any smart comments, I mean the fatherless kind. My mother was a serving girl in Redcliffe Castle who died
I
when I was
hated
very
that.
young.
You
Arlene
okay?
wasn't my
No.
father, but he took me in anyhow and put a roof over my head. He was good to me. And he didn't
My
have to
guy. You
I
don't
respect
want to
the man,
romance.
and I don't blame him
You
anymore
do
for sending me
not
off
want me
to
to
childhood
romance
once
you,
I was
believe
older than-
me. Mainly because I'm not going to. Liliana, though.
I was young and resentful and not very pious. Of course I blamed him. I remember screaming at him like a little child. Well, I was a child, so I doubt he was surprised. Arleman eventually married a young woman from Orlais, which caused all sorts of problems between him and the king because it was so soon after the war. But he loved her. Anyhow, then you, Arlessa, resented the rumors which pegged me as his bastard. They weren't true, but of course they existed. The Arl didn't care, but she did. So off I was packed to the nearest monastery at age 10, just as well. The Arlessa made sure the castle wasn't a home to me by that point. She despised me.
No.
I suppose you're right. I wasn't raised as the Arl's son, though, if you're picturing that. I slept in hay, out in the stables, not on silk sheets. Only thing I had of my mother's. I was so furious at being sent away, I tore it off and threw it at the wall and it shattered. Stupid, stupid thing to do.
Yeah, I'm gonna find it,
The
and
Arl
then I'm
came by
gonna
the
sell it
monastery
instead of
to see how I
giving
was.
it to
I
you.
was stubborn. I hated it there.
Because I'm an
Blamed
asshole.
him for everything. And
At
eventually,
least in this playthrough I am.
he just stopped coming.
And you think that will help us.
All I know is that the Arl is a good man and well loved by
Yeah, I'm gonna do it.
He also was King Caelin's uncle, so he has a personal motivation to
It'd
see
be funny
Logan
if he
pay
actually,
for what
like,
he did.
gets mad at you for
Anyway,
selling it.
That's really all there is to the story.
Ew, he approved. No, I want you to hate me. Oh, no, it was just +1, that's fine. Have you ever been hunted by the Chantry?
My mother has been hunted from time to time, yes, by Templar fools like Alistair, which should tell you how successful they generally were. Flemeth made a bit of a game of it, in fact.
So...
The Templars would come again, and she would look at me and smile and say that the fun was to begin once more. I am unsure. I was too young to understand, and perhaps 'twas bravado on Flemeth's part.
You
Or
can't
perhaps she was
romance
really
Liliana.
amused. I will never know.
What's of your
Flemeth would warn them
romance?
once. 'Twas a warning they inevitably failed to heed. And then the true game began.
Alright, your
Often
friendship
Flemeth
is
would
at
use me as
100, so that's
bait.
gonna be a problem for me.
A little girl to scream and run and lure the Templars deeper into the wilds and to their doom. Sometimes, eventually. Thankfully, the wilds is a vast place. Once they found us, Flemeth would simply move us elsewhere, and we would be lost within the forest once again. I did not understand the danger we faced until I was much older. I had never heard of apostates or maleficarum.
They got what they deserved.
Perhaps they did. Still, I do not begrudge them doing what they believe is necessary. The Chantry sees any mages not leashed to the circle
You
of
can't even
Magi
romance her as a female, and I'm so upset about
apostates
it.
could become maleficarum, evil mages that resort to blood magic and become demon-enslaved abominations.
Yeah, that's gonna be me. Thank
It may
you.
even be true. Still, those of us who prefer freedom see no reason to submit. An interesting answer for a mage. Enough of this talk. Let us return to the task at hand. Why do you ask me such questions? I do not probe you for pointless information, do I?
Annoying you.
Would it not be easier simply to poke at me with a stick?
Right? How about I use a large club instead? Yeah.
I think I will elect to answer the question for now, if you do not mind. What is it you asked if I grew up in the wilds? A curious question. Where else would you picture me? For many years it was simply Flemeth and I. The wilds and its creatures were more real to me than Flemeth's tales of the world of man. In time I grew curious. I left the wilds to explore what lay beyond.
There's
never for long.
a fuzz
Forays
on
into
my camera.
civilized wilderness.
Okay, got it. Yeah, most of my characters are female. I think if you could play as a female or male, I always choose female. Don't picture
I
that.
am no primitive, painted in blood and unable
Damn,
to
so
speak the
defensive.
language. Flemeth knows much of your world and taught me well. For all that I had been taught, however, the truth of the civilized lands proved to be overwhelming. I was unfamiliar with so much. So confident and bold was I, yet there was much that Flemeth could never have prepared me for.
You must have looked quite the fool.
I think not. I am no frail flower wilting at the first heat. Only once was I accused of being a witch of the wilds, and that by a chastened who happened to be travelling with a merchant caravan. He pointed and gasped and began shouting in his strange language, and most assumed he was casting some curse upon me. I acted the terrified girl, and naturally, he was arrested. I do not know how well I lie, but I will do whatever I must in order to survive. The point being that I was able to move through human lands fairly easily. Whatever humans think a witch of the wild looks like, 'tis not I. Not that I did not have trouble. There are things about human society which have always puzzled me, such as the touching. Why all the touching for a simple greeting?
You know, I agree on that. Are you upset by all the bad?
At least with that sort of touching, I would have been able to intuit the intent with far greater ease. There were many nuances that Flemeth could never tell me of. When to look into another's eyes. How to eat at a table. How to bargain without offending. None of these things I knew. I still do not understand it all, truth be told, but then I gave up long ago any hope of doing so. When I returned to the wilds last, I swore to Flemeth that I had no intention of leaving again.
I guess the joke's on you then.
You were a fine one to be pointing out the humour of fate. Shall we examine your predicament on the whole? Let's not. Me? I prefer the jest on me to the jest on you. Well, let's get on with it before the ground opens up and swallows us, yes?